Hello and welcome to Tuesday One Show with Lauren Laverne.
And Jermaine Genus. Now we are live on BBC One and iPlayer with the topical stories guaranteed to get you talking. Joining us tonight, documentary filmmaker Stacey Dooley. She's going to be telling us what it was like to live with a man who has 2 wives and is on the hunt, JJ, for the 3rd.
Each to their own, I suppose. Well, also on the show, Josh Widdicombe and Dara Briain are on a mission to solve one of the biggest mysteries in British football. There's the boys, ready to come and talk to us very soon.
And Jennifer Rioch joins us from the Lake District.
Yes, I'm here for the latest chapter in the incredible story of the record-breaking hydroplane, the Bluebird. From today, she's on display right here in the Ruskin Museum, and I'll be revealing the very exciting plans to get this bird back out in the water in Coniston.
Oh, wow, can't wait to hear about that. Thank you, Jennifer. Plus, we've got the story of this little bird who found itself right in the middle of a very different type of rescue mission. But do not worry, wildlife artist and filmmaker Robert Fuller is on hand to help.
And in the last hour, it's been announced that One Direction star Zayn Malik is to be the ambassador for Bradford's City of Culture 2025. And later, we'll be reminding you how you could be at the heart of the action for the BBC next year. And remember, if you've got a question for Stacey, Josh or Dara, get in touch. The details are on your screen right now.
But first, to a subject making headlines today, the shortage of nursery places. As many of you watching will know, getting one for your child can be a real struggle. Yeah, now with additional free hours about to be offered to parents of 2-year-olds in England, Ashley John-Baptiste has been to see how this might affect nurseries and those caring for children with disabilities or special educational needs.
In 2017, when the UK government increased free childcare to 30 hours a week for working families with children aged 3 and 4, it put huge pressure on nurseries already struggling to cope with the demand for places.
And now, demand is expected to become higher, as from April, the government will start to offer working parents of 2-year-olds 15 hours a week of free childcare in England.
And whilst it's welcome news for some families in helping them get back to work, it's a move that sparked concern to those caring for children with special educational needs and disabilities, who already find getting a nursery place an even bigger challenge.
Boingy, boingy, boing.
Claire has spent more than 12 months searching for a nursery for her 2-year-old daughter Madison.
Madison has a condition called CHD2. It basically causes things like childhood epilepsy, speech and language delays. There you go.
Claire, tell me about your experience of trying to find a nursery place for your daughter Madison.
Oh, it was horrific. I tried every nursery setting. They didn't have the place for her, or they didn't accept children with additional needs.
As a dad with a 2-year-old, I don't know how I would take that.
Oh, it was so deflating. I couldn't work at the time because obviously I didn't have childcare for her. You're told that nursery is the best place for them, but we just can't access that.
Instead, Claire decided to send Madison to a childminder 3 days a week so she could earn a living.
Yay!
But Claire worries that because Madison isn't in a nursery, her development could be hampered.
She hasn't had that sensory side in terms of the noise or even just being able to socialise with children. I've had to change my job to a taxi driver to work around the childminder hours.
As nurseries struggle with staff shortages and a lack of funding, there are fears more children with additional needs could miss out on the right support. Lynette Bonner is an award-winning nursery manager in Wirral who provides care for more than 50 children with special educational needs.
Research suggests that as many as 50,000 workers could be needed to meet the increased demand in coming months. Is that an issue affecting you?
We struggle to attract the right staff. We have a rolling job advert out all the time. A lot of staff haven't got that knowledge and understanding of supporting a range of different needs, which is why we have developed our own training and development package.
Stephanie says the difference this nursery has made to her son Toby has been transformational.
So, when my 2-year-old started, he was non-verbal. He'd tantrum every day. He now counts to 20. He knows his colours. We sat one afternoon and he was just playing with his toys, and I walked in the room and he just went, "Mama." And my heart. And then the words just kept coming and coming and coming. And this nursery has just helped provide him that stability and that encouragement to be the best he can be.
Research by the children's charity Quorum found that only a third of local authorities have enough specialist nursery places for children with additional needs. Panima Tanuku is from the National Day Nurseries Association.
I think the biggest issue here is there was no consultation with the sector in terms of what needed to be done to be able to make sure that places are adequately resourced. There has to be additional funding for special education needs children.
The Departments for Education told us it was investing hundreds of millions of pounds to increase funding and increasing the dedicated additional SEND funding, as well as training up to 7,000 early years SEND coordinators to offer bespoke and quality care for the children who need it. Back in Birkenhead, the day is drawing to a close. It's clear that nurseries like this are vital for children with special educational needs.
It's very important for their mental health need, for the developmental needs. It's not a nursery, it's a sanctuary.
Yeah, it is indeed. How amazing as well. You know, the development in Toby throughout, it just shows just the access to these facilities and nurseries and so on is so important, especially for parents.
It's everything, and well done to anybody who works in that
great.
sector,
Thank
because
you,
it's
Ashley.
such a skilled and important job. Let's meet tonight's guests now. We've got a wonderful sofa for you this evening. Stacey, Dooley, Josh Widdicombe and Dara O'Brien. Welcome.
Welcome to the show.
My word.
Classic trio. You all gang back together.
Yeah, you all know each other very well, don't you, at the minute? I mean, Josh, we're going to be talking about your and Dara's project in just a moment.
Yeah.
But, Stacey, you were teammates very recently, I hear you and Josh.
Josh and I, we've done a couple of gigs
I heard.
together.
Did it go well, Josh?
Yeah, it was all
Enjoyable
right. We did
experience?
Rob Beckett Smart TV, and Stacey, you lost us the quiz.
I did lose us the quiz.
You're
I
quite-
was so certain that I had it right.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
I got it very wrong.
Still
You
not
sound
over
like
it.
you're fine about it, though, Josh.
No, it's totally, you know, it's just a game at the end of the day, isn't it? If you want to win it or lose it.
And we're all close.
Stacey wants to lose it, doesn't she?
He's really not letting it go, has he? Wow. And you and Dara are going to be working together very soon as well, I hear.
Next week, Desert Island Discs Live, London
Yes.
Palladium.
You
Very
scared me for a
excited.
minute there.
No, I
You
know.
looked at me like-
It's in the diary. I haven't worried. It's grand. Yes, because we did a Desert Island Disc, and the chance of doing that kind of conversation in front of 2,000 people in the London Palladium is great. I mean, really,
Well, looking forward to it, can't we? But Stacey, I want to come to you first because you are back with a brand new series of Stacey Dooley Sleeps Over. Now, for anyone who hasn't seen previous series, you move in with a family. It's usually quite an unconventional family setup, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
And you get an insight into their lives. Now, who do you meet this time around?
That's exactly right. So I arrive on the Friday and it's quite intense, it's quite immersive, and then I leave on the Monday. The first episode, I hung out in a brothel. It's really interesting, in Nevada. The second episode, two mums and a dad under the one roof. And the third episode, polygamists. So 2 wives and a husband. And the husband, Jeff, is actively searching for a third wife.
Well, I think we can actually see a moment when Stacey puts quite an awkward question to Jeff.
Oh, okay.
King of the 2 wives.
I'm trying to get my head around this unfamiliar lifestyle that the law and Mormon church condemns.
And whose bed are you in tonight, Jeff?
Can't remember.
I believe it would be mine. Kids know.
It's a terrible thing if I forget that.
Yeah. We'll remind you.
I know.
We'll spend a few minutes in my room tonight saying goodnight, and then he'll go to Vanessa's room.
Oh, so typically that's what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, the dynamic of these families, I mean, it is really interesting. But, you know, like, before you kind of went into it, did you have any preconceived ideas? Because I'm assuming when you tell friends or family about this project, there's a lot... it's a conversation starter, anyway.
Yeah, no, for sure. And the thing is, right, I always try and go in, like, open-minded. You have to try and sort of... Because there's no point going in and thinking, oh, I think X, Y and Z. Otherwise, the conversation,
That's
you know, it
exactly
doesn't...
how you approached our quiz.
Still not let it go.
I just seem to have a good time. Yeah. But Jeff, I mean, I suppose Jeff's a good example of this. I like hanging out with people that I don't necessarily understand or agree with, you know, and I think increasingly we've lost that art to hang out with people that are different to us. And I mean, on paper, he's a bit of a misogynist and a bit of a hypocrite in many respects, but he was a good sport, and he was very candid, and he was very accommodating, and I love it. I truly love this series. It's a really, really fun gig. Yeah, it's really fun.
Well, as JJ says, it's fascinating, and it's lucky that you're open-minded and kind of see where the conversation goes, because you never really know what's going to happen next. You actually ended up meeting someone from your hometown of Luton while you were out there.
But how random is this? So I'm in South Dakota.
Yeah.
And I'm living with this family who have been sort of rejected from their mainstream sort of Mormon church. And he's going, I just need a third wife. I don't feel like this family's complete. So he says, I've been talking to this lady that I quite like. There's something there. And he zooms her, and I promise you this was not set up, it wasn't produced in any way. And he was having, look, he's having a conversation with the lady. He said, she's from the United Kingdom. And I was like, oh, what part? And she went, I'm from Luton. I went, what? And like, she was like legit from Luton.
Did she go like, oh my God, are you Stacey?
Yeah, she was like, Stacey. And I was like, oh, all right. Yeah. But it was like, you know, she was genuinely sort of getting to know Jeff. And
Did they get together?
Well, I said to her, what is it that you find appealing about this? Because, you know, lots of people might not understand this kind of dynamic. And she made a really valid point. She said, look, I'm a single mother. And my main priority is my kids, and I sort of hate the idea of when I'm not around anymore, him not having a maternal figure. So in this instance, he would have two mums, and I'd have sister wives.
Yeah.
And I think you also assume that the women are going to be sort of
clashing
at each other the whole time. They were really tight, really, really lovely. Yeah.
It's fascinating stuff. Stacey Dooley, Sleeps Over USA. It's going to be on Sunday at 9 p.m. on W and UK TV Play, and all previous series are available to stream for free on UK TV Play.
OK, still to come, Josh and Dara will be talking about one of the greatest sporting mysteries ever. Just how did one man end up tricking a manager to play in the Premier League? We'll be getting to the bottom of that a little later.
That story's got me gripped. I'm one episode into the podcast. Another incredible tale now about adventurer Donald Campbell. Now, back in the 1950s, he was a household name, but he put everything on the line for a place in the record books and in British history.
The record-breaking exploits of daredevil Donald Campbell in the 1950s and 60s made him a national hero. But the country was shocked when on January 1967, aged 45, he was tragically killed, attempting a water speed record on Coniston Water in the Lake District in his iconic Bluebird K7.
No one can fail to mourn the loss of this brave man.
For many years, his Bluebird remained in Coniston Water until it was lifted from the lake in 2001 and restored by Tyneside engineer Bill Smith and his team. The One Show were given unique access to follow this restoration process.
And now she's ready and raring to go.
And in 2018, amazingly, the hydroplane soared across the water once more on Loch Fad in Bute, Scotland.
Bluebird is back. The breathtaking tribute to Donald Campbell, a truly fearless pioneer.
Since then, locals have been eagerly awaiting its return to Cumbria. And after 23 years since it was raised from the depths of the water, it finally made its way home earlier this month. Crowds came out to celebrate the homecoming as Bluebird made its way back through the streets of Coniston. And here she is in all her glory, finally on display at the Ruskin Museum in Coniston, just over 23 years after she was raised from the bottom of Coniston Water. And I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by Donald's daughter, Gina, and also the director of the museum here, Tracy Hodgson. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. Tracy, we'll start with you. What has the reaction been like to the homecoming of the Bluebird?
Absolutely fantastic. Today was the first day that we'd opened since she was here. We've had people queuing out the door. We've had over 400 people in today.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic.
A busy day, a tiring day.
Very tiring,
but
yes.
also a very emotional day, Gina, for you to see the Bluebird back where it all began.
Oh, look, for me, it's just a dream come true. To believe that my late father did over 300 miles an hour in this beautiful piece of machine. And to see her here in this beautiful building that was built for her, especially to house her, and to finally have her here. A few wrinkles and crinkles along the side, but I know the feeling. Look at her. She's magnificent. She's the best you'll ever see. She is just out of this world.
She looks amazing, and I know you've been waiting a long time to see her here in the museum. In fact, there's a lot of people who've been waiting a long time to see her, and we caught up with them this morning on opening day.
I joined the team in 1966 and I helped put Bluebird on the lake when she arrived. And when she came back the other day, I just felt I had to be here.
It's absolutely amazing. If you look at the photographs of it as it was under the water and when it came out, and you look at it now, you wouldn't think it was possible to get it back into that condition.
Thank you to the museum and to Gina for allowing it to happen.
We were so keen to come and see it. Now it's actually in situ. You know, the fact it's so close and just amazing. Just come and see it, it's fantastic.
A lot of emotion, a lot of excitement for you, Gina, from some of the people at the museum who are still here enjoying the fact that she's finally back home. And what do you want the legacy to be? What do you want visitors to get from this, Gina?
I want people to remember the achievements of my late father, because what he achieved for this country, British engineering at its finest. I want the young to come and have a dream, dream big, dream that you can become the pinnacle of your career, dream that you can have not a boat like this, there will never be another boat like this, but there's a mountain to climb, climb that mountain, and when you climb that mountain, do you know what? There's another mountain beyond it, and so the dream goes on.
Yeah.
And my father had that dream, and he took the world water speed record from the A to B, and in this fantastic craft.
It's so inspirational, Gina. What do you hope's next?
Oh, without question, there is no way she's becoming a dusty old relic. She is going to have her new engine that's sitting there, implanted in her, and she is going to she's going to lift up her skirts, as my father used to say. Yes,
what
Bluebird. Bluebird will lift up her skirts and she will fly again.
That sounds incredible, Gina. And we're actually still joined by Jeff from the Board of Trustees as well. Jeff, you've heard the dreams of Gina. She wants to see her back out in the water. How are we going to make that happen?
Well, that's quite a gauntlet, Gina. We do have a plan. We're aiming for 2026. It would coincide with Donald's first record on Connaught, the 70th anniversary of that. As Gina says, we've got an engine there to go in there. We need to test the engine out of the boat, put it into the boat, test it again, and then rock and roll. We've got a 10-mile-an-hour speed limit to get over, but we can sort that.
I reckon we can sort that. We might not quite get up to the 300 miles an hour plus,
I doubt it.
But hopefully the next time we come and visit, she will be out back on Coniston water. Fingers crossed.
Oh, absolutely love that. And the Campbell spirit still lives on, going strong. And I was brought up with that story. I remember it so well. Spent loads of time in the lakes as a kid, and we were all told about it,
Well, time to talk about a story that I know very well, actually, because it features an unknown amateur footballer who somehow managed to play 53 minutes in the Premier League. Now, he's a subject of Josh and Dara's new podcast. Please explain this to people, Josh.
1996, kind of the Premier League's just starting, and Southampton manager Graham Souness gets a phone call from the World Footballer of the Year, George Weah, who says, my cousin's really good at football, give him a trial. This guy shows up, it's probably not his cousin, it's just some bloke.
Yeah.
There's an injury crisis at Southampton, they have to put him on the bench, then their star player, Matt Letizia, gets injured in the match, he goes on, he plays in the Premier League, despite whoever's phoned up, whatever his background is, wherever he's come from, he's not good enough. He almost scores, not good enough, gets taken off after 3 minutes, disappears, never gets seen of again.
I mean...
It's an astonishing story. And it also, within the context of a product we know to be really polished and smooth and shiny and big business and money, there was a time when the Premier League started where you could bluff your way onto the team, and particularly in the context of African football.
Exactly, because the backstory to that bit of it goes back to a World Cup game, England versus Cameroon, Italia 90?
Italia 90, Cameroon appeared on the world stage, beat Argentina, Roger Miller, people fell in love with football from Africa for the first time, then other teams came from Nigeria. George Weah, genuinely, the one who probably wasn't on the phone that day, was the greatest footballer in the world at the time. But there was a sense of, it was a frontier for football, so there wasn't a scouting network there, whatever, so you could possibly have found a diamond in the rough here, so there was enough vagueness. It was the perfect time for this exact. And we can't work out whether we think it's a heist movie or
I think it's a heist. It's one of the greatest heists of all time.
Whereas I think it's somebody who just got over-promoted and then
like a comedy to me. I've known this story for years and always struggled to kind of get my head around it because the big thing is, this was an era, as you were mentioning, Dara, where agents were operating in a different type of way. But I suppose, like, he still had to turn up to training, is what always baffles me about this story.
Well, maybe it's not as difficult to be a footballer as you think.
Maybe anyone can.
Maybe anyone.
That is the margin. Anyone, if they wanted enough, can just play football.
Yeah, it's like TV presenting, isn't it?
Read the words.
We've all had a go.
Now, Josh, you managed to secure an interview with Southampton manager Briain, who brought Ali to the team at the time. Now, he's never really talked about it much.
He's not properly talked about it before. His autobiography doesn't mention it.
What did he tell you?
And you'll be aware, he's a scary man.
Yeah, he was my manager, wasn't he? Yeah, so I came across a few
Did you ever ask him about it?
Never. No, I'm not stupid.
You did? What did he say?
He was genuinely... He was quite kind of, I'd say... He was respectful.
Yeah, he was. I wouldn't say he's owning the mistake. But he was. He gave the guy his credit. You know, they looked him for a while. He isn't quite up to the same level, like whatever the. But he doesn't go. Well, you know, the phone rang. And I just went, sure, let's go for it.
I don't think, like, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think in any other business, maybe you'd go, this is a hilarious thing that happened. But in sport, there's a lot of ego and competition. Yeah. And I'm not over-competitive, you know that, Stacey.
No, I know that. Not how I'd describe you at all, Josh.
On that note, not only have you created this investigative podcast, you're also working on another series of Hold the Front Page. So this is you and Nish Kumar going to work at a different local newspaper each week. And I think it got quite competitive and a bit messy in Bradford.
It did, yeah. We went Christian wrestling.
OK, so in this clip, which one are you?
Excuse me?
Which one am I?
Yes.
I am... Nish is the one pretending he's got a broken finger so he can't do it. And I am the one that gets body slammed and winded while dressed as Eve from Adam and Eve.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, how...
Look at that.
It looks extraordinarily painful. Are they stunt falls or is that the real stuff?
That's the real stuff. What do you think? That's actually me.
Wow. Yeah, I know it is you, but it's not you actually. I mean, also, is this what journalists do in local papers, get thrown out of the ring?
Yes, it's a fair point.
Okay.
Fair point.
They do two things. They do that and they expose footballers pretending not to be footballers.
Right, well, the 53 Minutes podcast is available on Global Player and wherever you get your podcast. And Hold the Front Page Series 2 launches on the 24th of April on Sky Max and Now.
Now, we just mentioned Bradford there, and it's a very exciting time for the city, as next year it becomes the UK's City of Culture.
It does indeed, and just over an hour ago, at the home of Bradford City, the logo was unveiled and the organisers announced that Bradford-born singer Zayn Malik will be the ambassador.
Oh, perfect choice. They also announced 3 special events happening later this year to get us in the mood. Now, if you want to be at the heart of the action, the BBC is actually searching for a voice or voices of Bradford. So this person or people will represent the new UK City of Culture on TV, local radio, digital platforms and more. All you need to do is upload a 45-second video that captures the judges' attention and shows them why you should be the new voice of Bradford.
Applicants must be 18 or over, but you can enter from anywhere within the UK. Scan the QR code, which is on your screen right now, to get it started, or go to bbc.co.uk/new voices, where you can also read the full terms and conditions, and the winner will be announced at the end of April, right here on The One Show.
That's exciting. Good luck. Looking forward to it. Now, it's time to catch up with wildlife artist and filmmaker Robert Fuller, who, a bit like Stacey, has been spending time with a special family. I must warn you, this film contains the cutest case of conjunctivitis you will ever see.
Over the years, I've hosted many owl families in my homemade nest boxes. Majestic barn owls, secretive tawny owls. But I've always had a soft spot for the smallest species in Britain. Little owls are one of my favourite birds to watch. They're so full of character, and I've been following them since I was a teenager. I designed this nest box especially for little owls. It has a narrow letterbox opening and a tunnel entrance which protects the birds from intruders. Their courtship begins with preening and nuzzling. This is known as allopreening. And by early May, there are 3 eggs in the nest. The little owls have been incubating for almost a month, so they're due to hatch any day. I've built a hide close by to keep an eye on them. Oh, look at that, they're hatching now. We've got 2 freshly hatched owlets. And the last egg is beginning to hatch too. Oh, that's absolutely superb. We've got 3 owlets hatched now. And there's the female, she's come back in to brood them. The baby owls are fed on a diet of invertebrates, such as worms and beetles, and even small rodents when the parents can catch them. As they get bigger and gain confidence, they start to explore the nest. But I've had news, there's a problem. The farmer's just been to see me and he spotted a little owl at the base of this tree up here. So I'm just wondering why it's out in the middle of the day. So I'm coming in here to see what's happening. It's hiding down a hollow. I'm going to catch it quickly to check it's okay. Right, I'm going to take this one back to base because it's got a really bad eye infection. I've got over 30 years' experience in caring for birds of prey, so I'm used to this kind of rescue. Right, so I've got this owl back at home. It's hopefully going to just be a simple bit of treatment. Let's have a look at this eye. So what we're going to do is just bathe it. I'm just going to put some eye drops in there. After a week in my care, this little owlet is ready to return to its family. Look at that, quick as a flash, shot straight in. I'm going to stay in the hide and see if the owlet is accepted back in now it's bigger. To begin with, Mum doesn't seem very interested. She quickly leaves and goes out onto a branch. The owlet just needs to be brave and follow her. So this is absolutely incredible. We've got the female here actually preening the chick. It's absolute magic sight. A week later, the juvenile owlets are 6 weeks old and have been exploring. Little owls often spend time on the ground and use holes like this unoccupied rabbit burrow for safety from predators. My plan is now to get a camera out here and see if we can film these little owls. And in the evening sun, my cameras capture the moment when, one by one, they pop out to start their next adventure.
Oh, it just doesn't get any sweeter than that. It
Nice.
simply
was
does
really
not.
nice. Before we go, I wanted to ask you... In fact, you know what? I'm going to ask Stacey as the award-winning journalist on the sofa,
Yes,
actually.
yes.
So we mentioned Ali, right, from the podcast.
Yep. Yeah.
What would you have said to him if, for example, they managed to get him on the podcast? Would you have asked him any specific question?
Oh, I mean...
How many wives do you have, Ali?
How do you
and Ali's going,
about
what
polygamy?
podcast is this?
I didn't think this is what we were talking about.
It's a tricky one,
that
though,
might
isn't
be
it?
the only thing, because given he's been really enigmatic about talking about it, if we brought him on and asked him about his love life, he might go, can I talk about the match now?
Very left field.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the approach you need to take.
A bit of reverse psychology.
That's it.
I think that's a good follow-up. You move in for the weekend with Ali Shah.
I could do a
Both
weekend
of the
with.
programmes come together.
There we go.
It's a follow-up.
It's a follow-up.
Universe, the
Can
same
I say
cinematic
Get some
universe.
conjunctivitis in there, it'd be perfect.
It's waiting to be made. What a commission.
Right, we've got a couple of comments here for you. Helen has said that, I'm excited for your new doc, Stacey. You're a TV goddess.
That's super cool.
And
Very
James
nice.
says, loved celebrating St Patrick's Day with Dara, seeing you live this weekend. Thank you to all our guests tonight.
Yes, we'll be here tomorrow with Watchdog, Jordan North and Bridgerton's Nicola Coughlan. We'll see you then. Goodbye.
Good night.